Hello again from Linz, Austria. My name is Graham Buck. I'm a member of the team for Treasury Management International, or TMI, and I'm attending the 2022 Tech Day held by the Austrian Corporate Treasury Association, otherwise known as ACTA. I'm here with Alexander Haensel of Kyriba Group, and Alexander is Principal Solution Engineer, and he's just given us a very detailed session on international connectivity for payment transactions via networks. The first question I've got here, which was expressed very succinctly in your presentation, Alexander, why do so many companies stop at the payment transaction project after connectivity via the electronic banking internet communication standard, which is otherwise better known as EBIX. And I think your presentation asked, why is it not the holy grail and the global standard for bank connectivity?
Yeah, what we see very often is like treasurers are used to the EBIX standards here in the DACH region, and they like it. It's very standardized, and it works very well with all the German and let's say the banks who are offering that service. But what this mindset, basically, they take that mindset to other countries, like the UK, like to the US, and they're anticipating that this easy service and that standards will be available in those countries as well. And unfortunately, it isn't. So we see also, like, for example, in the UK, it's bucks, and in the US, very often host-to-host connectivity, which is required to directly communicate with your banks, which is very local specific, or in Japan it's Sengen, and if you're not a member of that communication channel, you're not able to communicate with the banks.
Could you tell me a little about the solutions that Kyriba offers from, I think, what was called a heterogeneous system landscape?
Yeah, so what we see very often is that customers looking for a central payment platform because of their heterogeneous system landscape. They have multiple systems generating payment files. You most of the time don't find one ERP, you find several ERP systems within a corporate. And that's not only it for payments, also HR and travel expenses and subledger systems generating actively payment files. And sometimes you have systems requesting bank statements for their day-to-day operations. So what we are facing, especially on the internal system landscape side, is a heterogeneous system landscape, which requires flexible communication out of a cloud solution, Kyriba is as a true SaaS solution, into their system landscape.
I know one of Kyriba's strengths is your format library. You've got over 49,000 payment format scenarios. What's the advantage of that for the customer and the benefits?
So our payment format library we are very proud of is something ready to use for customers who are utilizing our payments solution. So it's part of it. It's not only an SLA which covers the payment format library in terms of how fast we are in terms of developing or updating a new format. It's treated as a product. So there are dedicated people responsible for keeping the formats accurate or up to date. And that payment format library, and you might say like 49,000 formats, that can't be true. But if you calculate a bit more precise in the sense, for example, for SEPA credit transfer for Deutsche Bank, the format for BNP looks different in France, Paris. So you see small nuances and differences in the formats. And therefore the 49,000 format and format variants came up, ready to use for our customers, so they have ready access to those and can use them to start their payment communication towards their bank partners.
Very good. And I also believe you've got the world's biggest bank connectivity service. If you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Our bank connectivity service is a variety, and we are offering, first of all, a variety of bank communication services or bank communication standards. These are ones or buckets is the local formats. EBIX is one of them, EBIX Germany or EBIX France. Then it's also like EDI and EDITRAN and Sengen, bucks in the UK, as I just mentioned. So you have local communication networks, which we are offering to our customers, so they can utilize our solution and they have already the pre-configuration in there. And then, of course, we continue that with host-to-host, as Kyriba is very also strong in the US market. We have in-depth experience in those connectivity to those banks, which are now more and more transferring to API. And last but not least, of course, we are offering SWIFT. So with either our SWIFT service provider BRED or SWIFT Alliance Lite 2, we are able to communicate with thousands of banks participating in the SWIFT network, and this communication is monitored by our Kyriba support centers to make sure that our customers are fully aware and up to date how the communication with the banks are running or not, and who is basically investigating if not.
And what facilities does Kyriba offer both for anti-fraud measures and also for compliance?
Yeah, fraud and compliance is a topic which it was arising in the last 2 to 3 years, very popular nowadays. So we first of all need to distinguish between fraud and compliance. Fraud, as we are trying to detect anomaly payments, fraudulent payments, which are basically coming from internal people or from internal systems which are trying to steal money. And then there's the compliance aspect of the payment management, where I am based on sanction list screening and blacklist. I have certain kinds of standards to fulfill that with certain kinds of countries, with certain kinds of companies or individual people. I'm not allowed to do payments or don't allow to do sending payments. So therefore, Kyriba offers a fraud detection engine, including machine learning. So if you have enough payments processed through it, we're also able to utilize machine learning capabilities to detect fraudulent payments. And on the other hand, we are working together with a standard interface with LexisNexis, our third-party solution, to perform sanction list screening and blacklist screenings for payments.
Just lastly, we mentioned earlier this attempt for a heterogeneous system landscape. Recent geopolitical developments and these perhaps talk about rivals to SWIFT. Is that posing much of a threat?
I think so. What we see in the threats is SWIFT looks really after the security and makes sure that all SWIFT members, participants, fulfilling a high standard. So that is something when you use Kyriba in combination with SWIFT, that you need to fulfill certain kinds of security standard to be able to participate. And SWIFT also has a variety of standards which you need to fulfill in terms of your approval process, in terms of your security standards internally to basically be able to send payments.
Excellent. Alexander, thank you very much. That was most interesting. Obviously, we just scratched the surface. And if you'd like to find out more about the subject, please don't hesitate to contact ACTA and also get in touch with Kyriba. Alexander, thank you again.
Thank you very much.